System+Invincible+Shuangwen+Multi female lead Hua Fei crossed the Han Dynasty and became the son of the fierce general Hua Xiong of the Western Liang Dynasty. At the beginning, Hua Xiong was killed by Guan Yu. Hua Fei awakened his system and obtained invincible force, directly killing Guan Yu to avenge Hua Xiong. After Dong Zhuo's death, Hua Fei took over the old troops of the Western Liang Army and achieved supreme dominance. The beautiful women of Jiangshan were all in his hands. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Crossing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Reminder. 1. This book is a fictional historical novel, please do not benchmark against history. If you insist on competing, then you are right. 2. This book is mainly written according to the historical line of romance, but the age and position of certain characters may change, which can be understood as parallel worlds. 3. Shuangwen, brain storage place. Hua Fei opened his eyes in a daze and found himself on a carriage. Didn't I get struck by lightning? Surprisingly not dead. Hua Fei vividly remembered that he had been licking the university goddess for 3 years and was finally moved by him. In the end, excited, Hua Fei was directly struck by a thunderbolt, and then lost consciousness. It seemed that his life was big enough that even heaven could not take it away. Just as Hua Fei secretly felt fortunate, a huge memory rushed in, and in an instant, countless memories that originally did not belong to him filled Hua Fei's mind. After a long time, Hua Fei showed an irresistible expression. He actually encountered a dog-blooded adventure plot, and it was just when he licked the goddess before he had a chance to get it. In an instant, Hua Fei's mind was filled with unwillingness. Oh my goodness, at least he had to let himself die on the belly of the goddess, right? What's even more terrifying is that I traveled to the end of the Eastern Han Dynasty, a chaotic era where my life was like a blade of grass. His identity is the son of the fierce general Hua Xiong of the Western Liang Dynasty. Unfortunately, it is now 190 AD, when the 18 feudal lords were fighting against Dong, and his cheap father Hua Xiong was just killed by Guan Yu at Sisui Pass. Amidst the mixture of grief and anger, Hua Fei fell into a coma and was taken away by the later generation of Hua Fei. Now, he is being led by Hua Xiong's personal soldiers to the Tiger Prison Pass. Ding! The super-evolutionary system has been successfully bound. Just as Hua Fei was looking anxious, a mechanical voice rang out in his mind. Is there a system? Woohoo, take off! Immediately, Hua Fei began to communicate with the system in his mind, and after a moment, he finally gained an understanding of his own system. The super-evolutionary system, as the name suggests, allows people to evolve. Each person can evolve once, and during the evolution, Hua Fei can choose a direction, such as force, command, intelligence, and so on. The system will significantly improve a certain attribute based on each person's potential, and there will also be a small increase in other attributes. At that time, each person could only evolve once, and the greater their potential, the stronger their strength would usually be after evolution. As for the number of evolutions, Hua Fei needs to complete the system task and then obtain it. Ding! Host binds to the super-evolutionary system and rewards beginners with a big gift package. Open the beginner's gift pack. Hua Fei spoke without hesitation, stating that the system was his only guarantee for survival in the late Han Dynasty. Ding! The beginner's gift pack has been successfully opened. Congratulations to the host, who has obtained the inheritance of the Western Chu Bawang Xiangyu, the heavenly dragon-breaking city halberd, and the divine horse Wuzhui horse. The number of evolutions has increased by 100, and the armor has increased by 100. Upon hearing the system prompt, Hua Fei was overjoyed. His system was absolutely considerate. It was just a beginner's gift package, surprisingly so rich. System, receive the inheritance of Overlord. As the words fell, a warm current instantly flowed through Hua Fei's body, beginning to transform it. At the same time, countless martial arts skills and military knowledge also flowed into Hua Fei's mind. After half an hour, Hua Fei finally woke up and felt the explosive power all over his body. Hua Fei wanted to shout out loud. Name. Hua Fei Force. 120, Human Limit, cannot continue to evolve, Command. 94 Intelligence. 70 Politics. 26 Charm. 90 Skill. Overlord Invincible, Xiang Yu invincible in the world. When facing someone alone, increase your own strength by 5 points and hand over 5 points of strength to the opponent. The Iron Cavalry advanced rapidly. When Xiang Yu led his cavalry to launch a surprise attack on the enemy, his command value increased by 5 points and his force value increased by 3 points. When Xiang Yu faced a desperate situation, his strength increased by 5 points. Looking at his new attributes, Hua Fei nodded secretly, and with the system, he finally took off. With such strength, no one in the late Han Dynasty could match him. Even the top general of the Han Dynasty, Lv Bu, was safely beaten by himself. System, where is my Sky Dragon Breaking City Halberd? Ding! All items rewarded by the system are stored in the system space, and the host can retrieve them at any time. However, once retrieved, they cannot be returned. Hua Fei understands. Young master, we will soon be at the tiger prison. Are you feeling better now? At this moment, the carriage stopped, the curtains were pulled open, and a man's head poked in. This person's name is Hua Wu, and he is the captain of Hua Xiong's personal soldiers, commanding 500 of Hua Xiong's personal soldiers. Personal soldiers are the most loyal soldiers to the main general, so even if Hua Xiong died, Hua Wu and other people were not taken under Hu Zhen's command, but instead escorted Hua Fei and headed straight towards the Tiger Prison Pass. Uncle Wu, I'm fine. Let me ride my horse forward to avoid being looked down upon by that Lu Bu. My father has died, and from now on, the Hua family will rely on me, Hua Fei said. Upon hearing this, Hua Wu couldn't help but be taken aback. Throughout, Hua Fei's personality was relatively weak, so Hua Wu and his companions had no thoughts. They just want to protect Hua Wu and live well. Young master, your body. Although he was happy in his heart, Hua Wu still hesitated. It's okay, I'm a man from Xiliang. Can't even ride a horse. Uncle Wu, believe me, soon I will kill Guan Yu. Hua Fei spoke with a firm expression in his eyes. Hua Wu did not object either. He heard the determination in Hua Fei's words and was happy for Hua Xiong. As the captain of Hua Xiong's personal forces, he has been following Hua Xiong for many years and naturally wants to seek revenge for him. However, the enemy's strength is too strong, and Hua Wu has to take care of Hua Fei. Therefore, he dare not even think about seeking revenge. Hua Fei got off the carriage and summoned the Wuzhui horse in his heart. The Law of Lamentation. After a moment, the Wuzhui horse came from afar. Young master, step back, this horse is extraordinary. Hua Wu immediately recognized the extraordinary qualities of Wu Zhui's horse and placed it directly in front of Hua Fei. Hua Fei pushed away Hua Wu and directly jumped towards Wu Zhui's horse. After a moment, Hua Fei flipped over and mounted his horse, and Wu Zhui Ma appeared exceptionally gentle in front of Hua Fei. Young master, you are mighty. Hua Wu was overjoyed. Horses like Wu Zhui Ma were not something that ordinary people could tame, but they showed no resistance against Hua Fei. Hundreds of guards also cheered and looked up to Hua Fei. Previously, they were loyal to Hua Fei only because of Hua Xiong, but now some people admire Hua Fei. Chapter 2. Arriving at Hulao Pass. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Haha. Wu Zhui Ma, let's follow my young master to become famous all over the world in the future. Hua Fei galloped on horseback and gradually adapted to the fact of crossing over. Since he arrived at the end of the Eastern Han Dynasty and with the help of the system, Hua Fei naturally did not want to be mediocre. He also wanted to compete for the world and change history. The war in the late Han Dynasty resulted in a shortage of Han people, ultimately benefiting the foreign tribes in the north and causing the darkness of the 5 barbarians. The Han people were reduced to 2-legged sheep. Hua Fei naturally wants to change this tragic history. Congratulations, young master, you have obtained this divine horse. Hua Wu spoke happily. Uncle Wu, thank you. Hua Fei had a smile on his face. Young master, you have spoken too seriously. The general is as kind to us as mountains. Hua Wu smiled and shook his head. He knew what Hua Fei meant, but he didn't say much. Let's go to Hulao Pass. Hua Fei didn't say much, as Hulao Pass was the burial ground for his second son. Soon, Hua Fei and his group arrived at Hulao Pass. No one came to greet him, and Hua Fei expressed understanding. Hua Xiong used to be the first fierce general under Dong Zhuo's command, but he was already dead. As people walked away, Hua Fei would naturally not be taken seriously. Hua Gongzi, the Prime Minister has invited you. But soon, another Western young soldier ran over. Hua Fei nodded and said to Hua Wu, Uncle Wu, you guys are waiting here. I'll go visit the Prime Minister. No. Soon, under the leadership of soldiers from the Western Liang Army, Hua Fei arrived at Dong Zhuo's temporary residence at Hulao. Dong Zhuo sat above the main seat, with the generals of the Western Liang Army sitting below. Dong Zhuo had just arrived at Hulao Pass today and was currently discussing war. General Hua Fei, pay respects to the Prime Minister. Hua Fei walked directly below and bowed to Dong Zhuo with one knee. You are Hua Fei, don't be polite, get up quickly. Dong Zhuo was very polite to Hua Fei. Xia Xiangua. Hua Fei bowed again. Hua Fei, Hua Xiong is my great general. He was killed by the coalition army, and I also feel heartbroken. However, you can rest assured that I will not let the coalition army go. Hua Xiong's revenge will soon be avenged. Dong Zhuo spoke with a heavy expression on his face. Thank you for your kindness, but the revenge of killing my father is irreconcilable. I would like to personally kill Guan Yu, Hua Fei said in a deep voice. Dong Zhuo was taken aback and immediately spoke up, Hua Fei, if you have this heart, I believe Hua Xiong will also be able to rest in peace. However, his martial arts skills are excellent, so let me take action first. You are Hua Xiong's only son, how can I see that Hua Xiong is unparalleled? It has to be said that Dong Zhuo was very good towards the legitimate lineage of the Western Liang Army, and it was precisely because of this that the Western Liang Army fought to the death for Dong Zhuo. Rest assured, just Guan Yu, the last general will be killed. Hua Fei spoke with a firm expression on his face. Dong Zhuo frowned, feeling that Hua Fei was somewhat ungrateful. However, in public, he couldn't stop Hua Fei from seeking revenge. So, after thinking for a moment, he said, all right, you have this heart. I am very relieved. All right, I will appoint you as a colonel and give you 5,000 soldiers and horses to guard Hulao Pass with me. When the coalition forces arrive, if there is a chance, you can take revenge on yourself. Thank you, Xiangua. Hua Fei expressed his gratitude. The general of the Western Liang Army present also nodded secretly. Although he didn't know how strong Hua Fei was, everyone was very pleased that he could think of avenging Hua Xiong. After leaving Dong Zhuo's mansion, Hua Xiong found Hua Wu and others, and Hua Fei recounted Dong Zhuo's appointment as a colonel. Uncle Wu, you have selected 99 elite soldiers from the personal guards. I have something to say, Hua Fei said to Hua Wu after entering the Western Liang military camp. No. Soon, Hua Wu brought in 99 personal guards. General. Hua Fei nodded and said, listen, during the period of unconsciousness, I have obtained the immortal inheritance and unparalleled military power. Everyone was taken aback, waiting for Hua Fei one by one. The ancients were quite superstitious and believed in the inheritance of immortals. However, they didn't expect Hua Fei to actually obtain it. Not only me, but you also have the opportunity. As long as you are loyal, you have a chance to receive inheritance and gain strong strength. As for how much you can ultimately improve, it all depends on yourself, Hua Fei continued. After the words fell, including Hua Wu, they were all shocked. General, can we really accept inheritance? Hua Wu spoke with a shocked expression on his face. This is nature. You are all my father's most loyal soldiers, and I would have believed that you could do it. Now, all quiet down and prepare to accept the inheritance. Hua Fei nodded naturally. Immediately, 100 people, including Hua Wu, quieted down and looked at Hua Fei with a hopeful expression on their faces. System, initiate super evolution, the direction of evolution is towards force. Hua Fei communicated with the system in his heart, and at the same time, a white light flashed through. Hua Wu and others, who were shrouded in the white light, quickly restrained their minds. After a quarter of an hour, all 100 people underwent earth-shattering changes, and their military strength had reached the level of a second-rate general or above. As the leader of the personal guards, Hua Wu's strength had greatly improved. Name: Hua Wu. Force: 94 Command, 79 Intelligence, 51 Politics, 33 Charm, 42 Loyalty, 100 Skill. Fierce. When facing opponents with higher strength than oneself, Hua Wu's strength increases by 3 points when fighting in front of others. Hua Wu and others also felt their changes and were shocked one by one. Thank you very much, General. Everyone knelt on one knee in front of Hua Fei. Note: a force value of 69 or below is considered a non-elite general, 70.79 is a third-tier general, 80.89 is a second-tier general, 90.94 is a weak first-class general, 95.99 is a super first-class general, and above 100 is an unparalleled fierce general. Let's all get up. Hua Fei nodded. Immediately, Hua Fei looked at Hua Wu and said, Uncle Wu, I still got a batch of iron armor. You can send someone to pick it up later. Although the quantity is not large, it can still equip you 100 people. No. Hua Wu didn't ask much. Although Hua Fei's changes were significant, to the point where he didn't even recognize him, Hua Wu was well aware that the other party was his own young master. Knowing this was enough, and as for other matters, he shouldn't be in charge. Afternoon. Hua Fei was thinking about the future, and Hua Wu hurriedly arrived. General, there are thousands of troops and horses outside the camp. The leader said that the other party came to serve under the orders of the Prime Minister. Hua Fei immediately understood that the troops assigned to him by Dong Zhuo had arrived, and he didn't know what kind of people Dong Zhuo could give him. Bring people in, Hua Fei instructed. Chapter 3. First Battle of Huafei. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After a moment, Hua Wu walked in with a young man with a heroic expression on his face. The last General Zhang Liao and Zhang Wenyuan, pay respects to the general. The young man arrived at Huafei and knelt down on one knee. Hua Fei's eyes lit up, and the person who came was actually Zhang Liao. Note: Zhang Liao was dispatched by Ding Yuan in history to serve under the command of He Jin in Luoyang. Later, when Dong Zhuo entered the capital, he was also incorporated by Dong Zhuo. Later, he joined under the command of LV Bu and was considered a small shareholder. When Yuan doesn't need to be polite. Since he has arrived, he will be his own person from now on. Hua Fei nodded slightly. General Xie. Zhang Liao stood up. Hua Fei didn't say much. It wouldn't be so easy to completely conquer Zhang Liao, so he smiled at Hua Wu and said, Uncle Wu, take Wen Yuan down and settle down. No. Hua Wu responded and turned around with Zhang Liao to leave. Hua Fei began to search for Zhang Liao's attributes. Name: Zhang Liao, courtesy. Name: Wen Yuan, force. 95 command. 93 intelligence. 76 politics. 64 charm. 87 loyalty. 40 skill. Attack camp. When Zhang Liao leads cavalry of 800 and below to launch a surprise attack on an enemy camp, his force value +3 and command value +3. Handsome talent. When Zhang Liao became the main general of the First Army, his command value increased by 3 points and the morale of his soldiers increased by 30%. Looking at Zhang Liao's attributes, Hua Fei is very satisfied. He is a super first-class general who is not good at 1.1 combat. If he can truly be loyal to himself and have been super evolved, he is definitely a true talent of a great general. The next day, ding. We have detected a need from the host and are now releasing a mission to avenge our father. The host is the son of Hua Xiong. Please slay Guan Yu and avenge Hua Xiong. After completing the mission, you will receive rewards such as evolution +300, grains +50,000 stones, and 300 sets of iron armor. Upon hearing the task prompt from the system, Huafei knew that the coalition had arrived and quickly arrived at the Tiger Prison Pass. At this moment, Dong Zhuo and the generals of the Western Liang Army stood quietly at the gate, with hundreds of thousands of feudal lords led by Yuan Shao below. Guan Yu, with a large number of troops in the coalition, what should our army do? Dong Zhuo's face was full of sorrow. The alliance of feudal lords exceeded 500,000, while the Western Liang Army at Hulao Pass was only over 100,000. Even with the addition of LV Bu's Bingzhou army, the total number of troops did not exceed 200,000. My father.in.law doesn't need to worry. Feng Xian has excellent martial arts skills. It's better to let him go to the battle and undermine the morale of the coalition. Li Ru smiled slightly, his face looking extremely relaxed. Dong Zhuo nodded and was about to speak. Hua Fei walked out and arched his hand, saying, "Prime Minister, why use an ox knife to kill chickens? I will invite you to battle." This. Dong Zhuo's face looked a bit unsightly. He didn't know Hua Fei's strength. If he were to go to war, if he were to be defeated, it would affect the morale of the Western Liang Army. Li Ru clearly saw Dong Zhuo's predicament and quickly said, "Hua Fei, we naturally understand your desire to avenge your father. However, your father Hua Xiong is not a match for the coalition army. If you were to go to war, wouldn't it harm you? Don't worry, the last general dares to make a military order. If he doesn't kill the enemy general, the last general will raise his head to meet him." Hua Fei looked confident. Li Ru sighed helplessly and then nodded at Dong Zhuo. "Since that's the case, Hua Fei, I have sent you to fight against the bandits in the Kanto region," Dong Zhuo said coldly. Dong Zhuo already felt a bit disgusted with this ignorant Hua Fei. If he hadn't taken into account the reactions of the generals of the Western Liang Army, he might not have given Hua Fei a good face. "No." Hua Fei seemed to be unaware and responded, then led two generals, Zhang Liao and Hua Wu, along with 5,000 soldiers and horses, directly down the city gate. "Where is the red-faced thief? Hua Fei is here, come out quickly and suffer death." Hua Fei, with his army, rushed to the front of the coalition and shouted loudly. The feudal lords who were discussing were taken aback and all looked at Liu Bei one by one. At this time, Liu Bei sat at the back of the feudal lords, and because Guan Yu killed Hua Xiong in a flash, he was also promoted to the rank of a group of feudal lords. Although there were only 3 people left, his status had also improved significantly on the surface. Upon hearing Hua Fei's shout, Guan Yu narrowed his eyes and tightened his grip on the Qinglong Yanhua blade. "Who is this person?" Yuan Shao asked the feudal lords. "Leader, it seems that this person is the son of Hua Xiong. It seems that he is here to seek revenge from Yunchang." He. Cao Cao opened his mouth with a smile, and he was very optimistic about Guan Yu. In his opinion, Hua Fei came to deliver vegetables. Since that's the case, Liu Bei, let your second brother go to battle and kill Hua Fei, right? Yuan Shao looked at Liu Bei. Liu Bei was about to nod when the governor of Jizhou, Han Fu, suddenly spoke up, alliance leader, this is just Hua Fei. Why should General Guan take action? I have General Pan Feng, who can slay Hua Fei. In this way, I can also send him and his father to reunite. Huh, that's great. Where is General Pan? He ordered you to go to battle Huafei and bring his head back. Yuan Shao did not object. Han Fu is his benefactor, and the food and forage in Bohai rely entirely on him. How could Yuan Shao refuse this small request from the other party? Don't worry, the last general's axe is already hungry and thirsty. Watch me kill Hua Fei. Pan Feng walked out with his mountain axe. Yuan Shao looked at Pan Feng, who was thick and rough, and was very satisfied. With permission, Pan Feng didn't hesitate, got on the warhorse, and rushed out. Hua Fei, today your grandfather Pan Feng has a kind heart. He will send you father and son to reunite. Die. Pan Feng shouted loudly and rode his horse to kill Hua Fei. Upon hearing the name Pan Feng, Hua Fei couldn't help but laugh. He dared to use any tricks on himself. He grabbed the belly of the Wuzhui horse and rushed out. The Overlord halberd, also known as the Heavenly Dragon Breaking City halberd, was directly smashed down. Bang! Hua Fei, who had received the inheritance of the Overlord, was extremely powerful. This strike carried a devastating aura, and Pan Feng, who was riding his horse, was also surprised. He quickly raised his mountain axe to resist Hua Fei's strike. Bang! The tremendous force hit the mountain axe, and Pan Feng felt his hand soften, followed by a sharp pain. He couldn't help but let go of his hand and let go of the mountain axe. However, the Overlord halberd did not stop at all and hit Pan Feng's head directly. Puff! Pan Fengzhen didn't react and his head was smashed to pieces by Hua Fei. Bomb! The headless body fell heavily. General, mighty! General, mighty! Hua Fei swiftly killed the enemy general, and the Western Liang Army behind him and locked in the tiger prison immediately shouted. Ha! Hua Fei is so brave, no wonder he dares to claim revenge for Hua Xiong. After Dong Zhuo was taken aback for a moment, he also laughed heartily. Hua Fei is the legitimate lineage of the Western Liang Army. How could Dong Zhuo not be happy if the other party left like this? Yuan Shao across from him stiffened and immediately looked at Han Fu, as if waiting for his explanation. Chapter 4. Quickly kill Guan Yu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This. Leader, it must be because Pan Feng's condition was not good today that Hua Fei took advantage of him, Han Fu sneered. Humph, Guan Yu, since Hua Fei challenges you by name, how about you go to fight against Hua Xiong? If you can win, I promise your elder brother Liu Bei 3,000 soldiers. Yuan Shao snorted coldly and turned his gaze to Liu Bei's 3 brothers. Liu Bei was immediately overjoyed. Although he had become the 18th Marquis, he only had 2 soldiers under his command, Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. Guan Yu held a knife in his hand, stroked his beard with the other hand, squinted his small eyes, and said, from my perspective, Hua Fei is nothing more than a person trying to sell his head. Please prepare your troops and horses, alliance leader, and do not break your promise. After speaking, Guan Yu turned around and left. Yun Chang is mighty. Cao Cao licked his face and smiled, hoping to win the favor of Guan Yu, but in the end, Guan Yu didn't even bother him. Name. Guan Yu, styled Yun Chang, Force. 98 Command. 90 Intelligence. 76 Politics. 70 Charm. 95 Friendliness. 60 Skills. Spring and Autumn Saber Technique. Guan Yu is proficient in the Spring and Autumn Saber Technique. The first 3 swords have unparalleled power. The first sword increases 3 points of force value, giving a 30% chance to instantly kill a super first class general. The second sword increases 5 points of force value, giving a 50% chance to instantly kill a super first class general. The third sword increases 7 points of force value, giving a 70% chance to instantly kill a super first class general. Pseudo-Martial Saint, Guan Yu was granted the title of Martial Saint by the Qing dynasty in later generations. Once this skill is awakened, Guan Yu's basic force value increases by 5 points. The upper limit of the second kill of the early autumn sword technique increases the basic force value of the sword, which does not exceed all of Guan Yu's generals. Dragging the blade technique is a sinister move that seeks victory in defeat. Once used, Guan Yu's force value instantly increases by 10 points, and there is a 90% chance of instantly killing a super first class general. Looking at Guan Yu riding out on horseback, Hua Fei narrowed his eyes. This guy is indeed powerful, and his skills are all capable of killing people in seconds. No wonder Guan Yu spent his entire life mainly relying on killing people in seconds. Guan Yu raised his Qinglong sword and stroked his beard with his left hand, loudly saying, "Hua Fei, right. I didn't want to kill you all, but if you take the initiative to seek death, then no wonder Guan. Let's suffer." Hua Fei squinted his eyes, picked up Ma Jiang, and then killed Guan Yu. The revenge of killing his father is unforgettable. Hua Fei will definitely kill Guan Yu. Since he has taken over Hua Fei's body, he has a responsibility to avenge Hua Xiong. As Guan Yu charged, he began to accumulate strength and prepared to use his three-blade skill. Of course, Hua Fei understood Guan Lao's gameplay and did not give him the strength to accumulate energy. With the help of the fast speed of the Wuzhui horse, he charged forward directly, and the Overlord halberd fiercely hit Guan Yu. Although Guan Yu was arrogant, after feeling the power of Hua Fei's blow, he dared not neglect it and quickly struck with a knife. Bang! The Bawang halberd collided fiercely with the Qinglong sword, causing a burst of cremation. Hua Fei desperately pressed down the Bawang halberd, trying to kill Guan Yu in seconds. Guan Yu's Qinglong blade had just come into contact with the Overlord halberd, and he was startled. Feeling the unbeatable power, Guan Yu's face turned red. Of course, Guan Yu's face was already flushed, and Hua Fei couldn't tell either. However, despite Guan Yu's best efforts, he was unable to stop the Overlord halberd, and his blue dragon blade was quickly pushed down uncontrollably. After a moment, the Overlord halberd had landed on Guan Yu's shoulder. At this moment, Guan Yu's face changed greatly. As a seasoned general, he knew very well that he was in great danger at this moment. As long as Hua Fei's Overlord halberd slipped, his head was probably gone. However, Hua Fei put too much pressure on him, and Guan Yu couldn't take any action to get rid of the danger. Hua Fei chuckled and shouted, "Die!" Shoo! The Bawang halberd quickly slid along the Qinglong sword towards Guan Yu's neck. Guan Yu's small eyes widened as he watched the Overlord halberd slide by. Puff! Guan Yu's head flew up, his eyes still wide open, as if he had never imagined that he had just become famous in the world and had died in the hands of an unnamed Hua Fei in just a few days. Ha! Hua Fei killed Guan Yu, laughed wildly, and the Overlord halberd directly lifted Guan Yu's head. General Invincible. Behind Hua Fei, the Western Liang Army roared with exhaustion, especially the hundreds of guards of Hua Xiong. Tears welled up in their eyes, and their young master finally avenged Hua Xiong. Yuan Shao and others saw the appearance of ghosts one by one, and never expected that Guan Yu would be killed by unknown people like Hua Fei. Second brother, the thief is taking his life. Zhang Fei's eyes turned red, and he raised his Zhanba snake spear, intending to take the consequences for Hua Fei. However, Liu Bei beside him was quick-witted and grabbed Zhang Fei tightly. Third brother, don't be impulsive. Hua Fei is incredibly brave and cannot be defeated by manpower. You can't send him to death. Liu Bei was almost about to cry. Guan Yu is dead. If he doesn't even have Zhang Fei, how can he be considered a fart? Second brother is dead, big brother, please let go. Zhang Fei's face was filled with hatred, his eyes fixed on Hua Fei. Third brother, don't be impulsive. We will avenge Yun Chang's revenge, but you cannot die. Otherwise, how can you ask big brother to avenge you? Liu Bei persuaded again. Zhang Fei finally calmed down a bit, but Liu Bei still held on to Zhang Fei tightly to prevent accidents. Yuan Shao, rat generation, do you think that with this red-faced thief, you can stop this general? Send someone out quickly to suffer death. Huafei continues to provoke. It's not that he's really crazy, but rather that he has to show enough strength. The Western Liang Army worships warriors, and Hua Fei wants to occupy a place in the Western Liang Army, even taking over the Western Liang Army after Dong Zhuo's death, demonstrating sufficient strength is just a prerequisite. Of course, that alone is definitely not enough, but Dong Zhuo didn't die so quickly, he still has enough time to plan. Dong Zhuo, who was locked in the tiger prison, couldn't help but see Hua Fei's performance and his face lit up with ecstasy. Congratulations to your father. Law, you have another fierce general. Li Ru also bowed in great cooperation and congratulated. I didn't expect Hua Fei to have such strength. Hua Xiong and his son are really the backbone of our Western Liang Army. When we return to Luoyang, I will report to the emperor and posthumously appoint Hua Xiong as the Marquis of Guanyu, with Hua Fei taking over the title. Dong Zhuo also chuckled. The smile on his face was even greater than when he got Lu Bu. Why? Hua Fei is the legitimate lineage of the Western Liang Army, and he is much more trustworthy than people like Lu Bu. Chapter 5. Cao Mengde. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. However, Yuan Shao across from him felt completely different. Hua Fei's provocation made him feel ashamed and he wished to shatter Hua Fei's body into pieces. However, the opponent's strength is too strong, and Yuan Shao dare not let his generals take risks. Don't worry, alliance leader. I have General Lu Sandao, who can slay Hua Fei. At this moment, the governor of Shuzhou, Tao Qian, arched his hand. Oh. Who is this Lu Sandao? He has such strength. Yuan Shao was taken aback and immediately asked. Even his Yan Liang and Wen Chou may not be a match for Hua Fei, how dare Tao Qian say so? This made Yuan Shao a little curious. The leader of the alliance is not aware of it. Lu Sandao is famous in Shuzhou, and under the three swords, there is never a chance of survival. As long as Lu Sandao takes action, Hua Fei will definitely die. Tao Qian chuckled and spoke confidently. So great, where is General Lu? Kill Hua Fei on me. Upon hearing Tao Qian's resolute words, Yuan Shao immediately exclaimed loudly. Don't worry, alliance leader. Hua Fei will definitely die. I saw that his mount was good, so I killed Hua Fei today and happened to snatch that mount. Lu Sandao held up his big sword and walked out with a nonchalant expression. Brave. Yuan Shao sighed. Lu Sandao didn't waste his time either. He climbed onto the warhorse and killed him. Hua Fei, can you recognize General Lu Sandao of Shuzhou? Lu Sandao rode his horse and approached Hua Fei, speaking with a mocking expression on his face. Humph. What kind of cat and dog dare to come up, die? Hua Fei is too lazy to take a serious look at this kind of dragon-like character. He rode his horse and killed it directly. Humph, despicable. Lu Sandao was furious and felt that Hua Fei was not good at martial arts. However, since the other party had already killed him, he could only be forced to fight. Without any hesitation, directly unleash the ultimate skill. However, the Overlord halberd was incredibly fast. Just as his big sword was swung out, Hua Fei's Overlord halberd had already been smashed down. Bang! Bang dang! Lu Sandao's big sword was released directly, and the bawang halberd was smashed down without any hindrance. Puff! The bawang halberd fell, and Lu Sandao's head was cut in half from the middle, dying to the point where he could no longer die. Waste! Upon hearing these two words, Yuan Shao's face turned red and he looked fiercely at Tao Qian. The leader of the alliance, General Sandao's ultimate skill is all on the third sword. If General Lu uses it, he may be able to kill Hua Fei, Tao Qian said in a chat. The feudal lords all had strange eyes, and Tao Qian was also a strange person. I even said that I could kill Hua Fei with 10,000 swords, but will the other party give you a chance? After all, Tao Qian was a local vassal, and Yuan Shao could only glare at him in anger, then look at the other vassals. Huafei is brave and fierce, what can he do? Yuan Shao's tone was filled with a sense of powerlessness. First Hua Xiong, now Hua Fei. You should know that Lu Bu was the first fierce general under Dong Zhuo's command. Hua Fei was so powerful. What was Lu Bu's fierce appearance? Leader, Hua Fei is indeed powerful. Why don't we avoid the battle first, or send multiple generals to besiege him? Cao Cao said when he saw Yuan Shao doing so. Our army is fiercely attacking, how can we avoid the battle just because of a Hua Fei? However, it seems inappropriate to send people to besiege, right? Yuan Shao shook his head for a moment. Leader, Hua Fei is young after all. If I provoke him, Hua Fei will definitely fall for it. Cao Cao spoke with a sinister expression on his face. Yuan Shao nodded. Cao Cao rode out on horseback, but he was far away from Hua Fei. Hua Fei was taken aback and began to look at the black spot in front of him. Name. Cao Cao, courtesy name Mengde, force. 71 command. 93 intelligence. 96 politics. 98 charm. 90 friendliness. 20 skills. Wei Wu, Cao Cao is the ancestor of the Wei state, with great talent in strategy. When recruiting talents, the success rate is increased by 30%, the morale of the people is increased by 30%, and the grain yield is increased by 10%. Legacy, Cao Cao is a good wife. Cao Cao has a 10% chance of achieving the beauty of a stunning wife and bringing disaster to those close to him. The higher the charm of a wife, the more serious the disaster. In times of chaos, when Cao Cao was the hegemon, his attraction to unknown talents increased by 50%. When governing his own territory, his political value increased by 5 points. When leading a large army on an expedition, his command value increased by 5 points. Looking at Cao Cao's luxurious attributes, Hua Fei's eyes lit up and he wished he could directly stab this guy to death. It's just obvious that Cao Cao is also preventing Hua Fei from getting into trouble, far away. Hua Fei, right. With such strength, why did you assist Zhou in his tyranny? If General Hua is willing to surrender to the allied forces, Yuan Mengzhu will definitely not mistreat the general. When Luoyang is broken, he will be granted the title of Marquis General and no longer speak. Cao Cao began to deceive. Oh. If you can agree to this general's condition, surrender is not a bad thing. Hua Fei smiled slightly. As soon as these words were spoken, Dong Zhuo, who was locked in the tiger prison, was greatly surprised. My father.in.law doesn't need to worry, Hua Fei is the legitimate lineage of our Western Liang Army, and it's impossible to surrender to the enemy so easily. Let's take a look, Li Ru quickly spoke. Dong Zhuo finally calmed down, but his eyes were fixed on Hua Fei. Cao Cao was also taken aback, not expecting Hua Fei to say so. However, he quickly realized and said, General, please tell me that as long as our army can do it, Cao Cao will definitely persuade the alliance leader to agree. As long as you hand over Liu Bei and Zhang Fei and let me kill them, I can consider it, Hua Fei said with a smile. Cao Cao's face immediately darkened. Liu Bei was one of the 18 feudal lords, how could he possibly hand it over? Moreover, he also heard that Huafei had no sincerity at all. What does it mean to consider? General Hua, this is impossible. Liu Bei is one of the heroes who fought against Dong, and our army cannot hand over Liu Bei. If you really have sincerity, then let's change the terms. Cao Cao said with a gloomy face. Since that's the case, there's nothing more to say. Send someone to confront you, Hua Fei sneered. He knew that Cao Cao was saying this because he saw that he couldn't surrender. If he could really trade Liu Bei's brothers for himself, Cao Cao would be the first to sell Liu Bei's brothers. Hua Fei was certain of this. The general has excellent martial arts skills, and no one in our army is your opponent. If you go to war, you need multiple generals to take action, otherwise our army will withdraw. Cao Cao spoke again. Haha. Cao Mengde, with such a clumsy strategy, do you think you would have been deceived? However, to me, the feudal lords of the Kanto region are just a group of local chickens, tiles, and dogs. If you want, just send someone to fight. Hua Fei laughed heartlessly and exposed Cao Cao's petty tricks. Are you serious? Cao Cao had a thick-skinned face and didn't even care about Hua Fei's mockery, probing and asking. This is nature, a man from Xiliang, without any empty words. Hua Fei nodded affirmatively. So, I understand now. Cao Cao turned around and left. Chapter 6. 1 Pick 10. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Cao Cao felt that Hua Fei had been completely tricked, so he returned to Yuan Shao's side and smiled. Leader, Hua Fei has already been tricked. Now, we should think about who to send to the war. Good. Yuan Shao was also overjoyed. Immediately, the 18 feudal lords discussed for a while and finally determined the candidate to participate in the battle. Zhang Fei, Cao Hong, Lu Jin, Yan Liang, Wen Chou, Yan Gang, Zhu Yi, Han Dang, Ji Ling, Pang De, totaling 10 people, belonged to different feudal lords. Ladies and gentlemen, Hua Fei is a great enemy of the allies. I hope everyone can kill this person. Yuan Shao spoke with a solemn expression on his face. No. 10 people solemnly arched their hands and then killed them, lining up in front of Hua Fei. Guan Yu, Hua Fei is so young that he was provoked by Cao Mengde. Should we send someone to help? Dong Zhuo asked with great concern when he saw this formation. My father-in-law doesn't need to worry. I don't think Hua Fei is arrogant. Since he dares to do so, we should believe him. If there is really danger, we can send Duke Duding, now Duke Duding, to rescue him. Li Ru didn't worry too much. Dong Zhuo nodded and looked at Lu Bu beside him, laughing. My son, if Hua Fei is in danger, you can immediately rescue him. No. Liu Bu nodded in agreement, but he didn't think so. The strength of this Hua Fei exceeded his expectations and had already posed a threat to Liu Bu, the top general of Dong Zhuo. Liu Bu didn't want to save him. Hulao Guan Xia Hua Fei looked at these people one by one. They were all famous generals from later generations, now belonging to various feudal lords. However, Hua Fei did not intend to kill all of them, they must be selectively killed. Like Yan Gang and Ji Ling, Hua Fei wouldn't kill them. After all, Gong Xuanzan and Yuan Shu only have 3 melons and 2 jujubes, wouldn't killing them be even more unmanned? As for Zhu Yi, although he is now a member of Han Fu, he has a heart for Yuan Shao and is a key figure in Yuan Shao's victory over Gong Xuanzan. Hua Fei will undoubtedly kill him. There is also Cao Cao, who has many generals under his command. Hua Fei must have taken the opportunity to kill a few of them. However, this Cao Cao is really a chicken thief, and none of his true generals have been dispatched. Hua Fei, die. Yan Liang shouted loudly and first rode his horse to kill Xiong Huafei. The other 9 generals did not hesitate and followed closely behind. Haha. It's great. Hua Fei did not retreat but instead advanced, and rode his horse to kill Yan Liang. The king's halberd in his hand simultaneously smashed towards Yan Liang. As the top general in Hebei, Yan Liang is not mediocre. He can easily feel the power of Hua Fei's halberd. Yan Liang dared not neglect, with a long spear in his hand and a spear in his hands. Bang! The bawang halberd fell, and Yan Liang felt a sweet sensation deep in his throat. The immense pressure almost shook him out of an internal injury. The two weapons split at a touch, and Hua Fei was about to attack Yan Liang again. However, Wen Chou and others had already killed him, so he had to give up the attack. The bawang halberd danced and several remnants appeared, directly blocking the attack of Wen Chou's 9 men. Give back my second brother's life. Zhang Fei stabbed Hua Fei recklessly, vowing to kill him and avenge Guan Yu. Hua Fei narrowed his eyes and didn't even glance at Zhang Fei, so he smashed his spear over. However, Zhang Fei remained steadfast and stabbed Hua Fei with the same spear, intending to die with him. However, the speed of the Overlord halberd is extremely fast, even Zhang Fei cannot match it. Bang! Before Zhang Fei could attack, the Overlord halberd had already fallen and hit him heavily. Puff! Zhang Fei was directly thrown upside down by the impact, spitting out a mouthful of old blood, obviously injured internally. The others, seeing that Hua Fei had been severely injured by a single halberd, dared not be careless and attacked Hua Fei one after another. Hua Fei is not invincible, he can only turn back his spear to resist. Bang bang bang. The bawang halberd was danced tightly by him, easily blocking the attack of Yan Liang's 9 men. Death. 9 people were repeatedly defeated by the immense force of the Overlord halberd, and Hua Fei narrowed his eyes and directly stabbed Cao Hong, who was closest to him. Cao Hong's internal qi and blood surged, wanting to suppress it, but he didn't want to. Hua Fei directly attacked him, trying to avoid it. However, with Cao Hong's strength, he couldn't react at all and could only watch helplessly as the Overlord halberd quickly fell. Puff! A silver light flashed past, and Cao Hong's head flew up, his eyes still staring fiercely at Hua Fei. Zillian, Cao Hong. Cao Cao from behind couldn't help but scream in pain when he saw that Cao Hong had been killed. Cao Hong was not favored by Cao Cao because of his greed for money, but no matter what, Cao Hong was also his brother. The other 9 people saw that Cao Hong had died in battle, and although their hearts were in turmoil, their speed in their hands was faster. Various weapons rushed towards Hua Fei to greet them. Hua Fei quickly withdrew, wielding his bawang halberd to block everyone's attack again, and then searched for an opportunity to counterattack. Bang bang bang. Although it was just a defense, the immense power contained in the Overlord halberd still shocked Yan Liang and his 9 companions. Haha! Yan Liang died. Hua Fei laughed heartily, and the Overlord halberd fiercely stabbed towards Yan Liang, who was closest to him. Yan Liang was extremely frightened and quickly raised his gun, trying to resist. The literary clown on the side saw Yan Liang in danger and didn't care about the pain in his tiger's mouth, so he quickly stabbed him. Bang! Yan Liangwen and Chou worked together to block Hua Fei's 1 halberd, but they were also shaken back and forth. Hua Fei, go to hell! Zhang Fei shouted again, ignoring his strength and stabbing Hua Fei directly from behind. Hua Fei's Overlord halberd has already been pierced, and it is obviously impossible to retrieve it at this time. He suddenly turned sideways and quickly leaned over to the side of the Wuzhui horse. Zhang Fei's attack fell into the air and passed by Hua Fei's side. Bang! Hua Fei grabbed Wuzhui Ma with one hand, jumped up, and kicked Zhang Fei in the back, directly kicking him out. At this moment, the attacks of Lu Jin and others also fell one after another, and Hua Fei immediately urged Wuzhui Ma to quickly avoid the attacks of the crowd. However, at this moment, Hua Fei happened to be not far from Zhu Yi. Seeing Zhu Yi's spear fall, Hua Fei smashed it directly with a single halberd. Bang! Although Zhu Yi has good strength and can reach the threshold of a first-class general, he is clearly not a match for Huafei's full-force attack. A halberd fell and Zhu Yi's spear was directly shot away. At this moment, the attack from the crowd had not yet fallen, and Hua Fei took the opportunity to sweep across. The overlord halberd ran straight towards Zhu Yi's neck. Zhu Yi wanted to dodge, but the overlord halberd was too fast for his body to keep up with such reaction speed. Puff! The tyrannical halberd passed by, and Zhu Yi's head flew up, while the headless body fell. First, General Zhu Yi died in battle. Chapter 7. Yan Liang's Death in War. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hua Fei killed 2 people in a row, and everyone was a bit scared. However, they did not retreat, but instead came over again. Hua Fei narrowed his eyes, and this time he turned his gaze to Le Jin. Hua Fei approached towards the direction where Le Jin was without moving a word, and his bawang halberd kept dancing to resist the enemy's attack. Bang bang bang. Wherever the bawang halberd passed, the allied generals retreated one after another, and no one dared to forcefully shoulder the attack of Hua Fei. Le Jin saw Hua Fei killing him, but did not realize that Lin Feng's target was him. Instead, he raised his big sword and slashed at Hua Fei. Bang! Unexpectedly, Le Jin's big knife was easily blocked, and he quickly withdrew and retreated. However, to Le Jin's great surprise, Hua Fei did not quickly pass by, but quickly shot in the direction of his retreat. At this moment, Le Jin realized that Hua Fei's target was actually him. Without much thought, Le Jin frantically urged the warhorses to break away. However, Hua Fei finally waited for this opportunity. How could he easily let him go? Wuzhui horse is a famous horse, and its speed is not comparable to that of an ordinary war horse like Le Jin. Puff! Under the full force of Hua Fei, Wuzhui Ma's speed exploded and quickly caught up with Le Jin. Hua Fei's overlord halberd also directly pierced Le Jin's back. Wen Qian. Cao Cao's old face turned black again, and both of his dispatched generals were killed. Hua Fei had only killed 3 people in total, and 2 of them were under his command. At this moment, Cao Cao regretted it a bit. Why did he go to provoke Hua Fei? Perhaps it is precisely because of this that Hua Fei focuses on taking care of his people, right? Hua Fei killed Le Jin, and Yan Liang and 7 others also came over. Hua Fei quickly turned his horse's head and met the 7 people. Bang bang bang. The attacks of everyone were all blocked by the overlord halberd without exception. Under the strong blow of the overlord halberd, 7 people were beaten back in a row. We can only passively defend against Hua Fei's attack. 10 people are fashionable and not a match for Hua Fei, let alone only 7. Moreover, Zhang Fei was severely injured by Hua Fei, and the attack became soft and powerless. Watching Hua Fei suppress the enemy and fight alone, Dong Zhuo laughed heartily as he was locked in the tiger prison. Hua Fei's courage is not inferior to Feng Xian. Dong Zhuo's admiration for Hua Fei has reached its peak. No matter how powerful Lv Bu is, he is also an outsider. Hua Fei is different. He is the legitimate lineage of the Western Liang Army. Hua Fei's father, Hua Xiong, has served Dong Zhuo for many years and was once the most elite flying bear military commander under Dong Zhuo's command. Now, how could Dong Zhuo not be happy with Hua Fei's departure? Xianggua, Hua Fei is truly a peerless warrior. I'm afraid we need to try our best to win him over. After all, he is not Hua Xiong. If Xianggua wants him to completely surrender, he still needs to be willing. Li Ru also smiled on the side. Oh. What does Wen Yu mean? Dong Zhuo looked at Li Ru with some confusion. Li Ru smiled and said, firstly, the Prime Minister should increase the posthumous title to Hua Xiong. Hua Xiong is a member of the Guzhang tribe, and he can be posthumously granted the title of Guzhang Marquis. In addition, he can be granted the title of Huafei Shenwei Marquis. Only then can he be used to match Hua Fei. Secondly, the Prime Minister has a granddaughter who is exactly the same age as Hua Fei. If not allowed, Hua Fei will definitely be grateful and return to the Prime Minister completely. This Marquis Feng is easy to say, but Guan Yu and Bai Er are my favorites. Dong Zhuo hesitated a bit. Xianggua, Lord Weiyang has reached the age of marriage, and there aren't many young people like Hua Fei, Li Ru said calmly. What Guan Yu said is also reasonable. Let's discuss this matter after repelling the alliance of feudal lords, Dong Zhuo said after considering for a moment. The Prime Minister is wise. Li Ru respectfully saluted, knowing that Dong Zhuo had actually been moved. At this moment, Hua Fei was fighting against the other few people. Zhang Fei, Yan Liang, Wen Chou, and Pang De were fine. After all, the three of them had strong martial arts skills and could barely support each other. However, Yan Gang, Ji Ling, and Han Dang were very embarrassed. Fortunately, Hua Fei did not focus on attacking the three people, which prevented them from dying. At this point, Hua Fei's target was Zhang Fei and Yan Liang Wen Chou. He killed Guan Yu himself and was already a mortal enemy of Zhang Fei. If possible, Hua Fei naturally wanted to kill him together with Zhang Fei. In addition, Yan Liang Wenke is a great general of Yuan Shao. The Yuan family is too strong, and Hua Fei also wants to weaken Yuan Shao as much as possible. Bang bang bang. The 8 of them kept fighting, and although Hua Fei was pressing down on the opponent to fight, his 3 Zhang Fei were all top-notch generals, and it was not easy to kill them. Yan Liang and Wen Chou, who were fighting against Hua Fei, were also secretly anxious. Hua Fei's strength was too strong, and if they continued to fight, they were afraid of death. Therefore, the 7 people are also pondering countermeasures. Cao Cao's 2 generals have already died, so why not just watch the good show there? Yuan Shaoxing was afraid that Yan Liang's literary and ugly might have trouble, so he wanted to withdraw his troops, but he couldn't save face. Bang! The Bawang halberd smashed at Wen Chou, who was shocked and felt the threat of death. The other few people have just been repelled by Hua Fei, and trying to rescue Wen Chou is simply impossible. Even Yan Liang, who is closest to Wen Chou, finds it difficult to catch up with Hua Fei's speed. In a moment of desperation, Yan Liang threw his big sword directly and struck Hua Fei's overlord halberd. Bang! The huge impact of the big sword caused the overlord halberd to tilt slightly. Puff! However, it still penetrated the body of the clown, but because of this blow, it did not hit the clown's heart. Wen Chou endured the excruciating pain and withdrew to avoid further harm from Hua Fei. Yan Liang also breathed a sigh of relief, but what alarmed him was that Hua Fei did not pursue Wen Chou, but instead took a lifelong leap, and the overlord halberd directly hit him. Yan Liang ran out of weapons and couldn't even block it. At the critical moment, he could only roll on the spot. Bang! The overlord halberd struck into the air, and Yan Liang just breathed a sigh of relief, but he didn't expect that the next blow had already arrived. Puff! This time, Yan Liang didn't have time to react and was directly decapitated by the overlord halberd. Yan Liang, a fierce general from Hebei, died in battle on the spot. Big brother! Wen Chou, who was seriously injured, let out a mournful cry. However, at this moment, he was powerless to fight against Hua Fei anymore. Yuan Shao in the rear saw that his 2 generals were killed and injured in an instant, and he no longer cared about his face. He quickly ordered Ming Jin. The remaining 6 people dared not stay any longer and directly withdrew from the coalition's main formation. Yuan Shao, your great general Yan Liangwen is nothing more than that. Hua Fei laughed heartily. The morale of the entire coalition army has plummeted at this moment. With so many of our own generals fighting against Hua Fei, they have suffered heavy casualties. How can they fight this? Chapter 8. Evolution of Zhang Liao. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yuan Shao was so angry, but what else could he say? Hua Fei's strength is too strong, and with a LV Bu, it's not something ordinary people can resist. Retreat. Yuan Shao gritted his teeth and issued a retreat order, fearing that he would be infuriated. Upon seeing this, Hua Fei could only retreat uninteresting. General Invincible. Hua Fei led his troops back to Hulao Pass, and all the soldiers of the Western Liang Army in the pass couldn't help but shout loudly. Our invincible general has returned. Dong Zhuo's face smiled like a chrysanthemum. If the Prime Minister is praised too much, how dare the last general? Hua Fei humbly said. Hua Fei, you don't have to be humble. A man from Xiliang, why do you need to be like this? By the way, I remember, you should be 18 this year, right? Do you have a script? Dong Zhuo held Hua Fei's hand as a gesture of closeness. Xianghua, my father is just a warrior, and the last general naturally did not have a script. Hua Fei smiled bitterly. How could a reckless man like Hua Xiong possibly take characters for Hua Fei? It is said that the names of Hua Fei were just casually obtained by Hua Xiong. Dong Zhuo nodded and smiled at Li Ru beside him, saying, Guan Yu, you are knowledgeable. Why don't you think of a character for Hua Fei? It can be considered that I personally gave him the character. How about that? Li Ru nodded for a moment and said, General Hua's name is Fei, but he can use the character E. As a supplement, since you are the only son of General Hua Xiong, why don't you call yourself Boy E? Dong Zhuo didn't understand these things. Upon hearing these words, he nodded repeatedly and smiled, what do Bo E think? Hua Fei is speechless. You really called me up and asked me how. Moreover, if Hua Fei wanted to inherit the legacy of the Western Liang Army, he could only follow Dong Zhuo's lead and said with a smile, thank you very much to the Prime Minister and the military commander. You don't need to be polite. Today, Bo Yi executed the enemy general in a row. Congratulations. I'm hosting a banquet today to celebrate Bo Yi's victory. Dong Zhuo patted Hua Fei's hand on the back. Thank you very much, General. Hua Fei arrived at his camp and killed Guan Yu this time. He obtained 300 opportunities for evolution, as well as 300 sets of iron armor, which can greatly enhance his strength. When Yuan. Hua Fei told Zhang Liao about the way he deceived Hua Wu and others. Upon hearing this, Zhang Liao was taken aback. Ancient people believed in ghosts and gods, and even Zhang Liao had no doubts. Hua Fei's military prowess shocked him greatly. With his understanding, even LV Bu is far inferior to Hua Fei. However, according to Zhang Liao's understanding, before Hua Xiong's death, Hua Fei had no fame at all, and he himself was only a military commander in the Hua Xiong army. Upon hearing Hua Fei's words, Zhang Liao suddenly realized that no wonder Hua Fei had suddenly risen to power and received a divine inheritance. More importantly, the other party was now willing to share this inheritance with him. This moved Zhang Liao very much. General, the last general is only temporarily under your command, you don't need to be like this, Zhang Liao finally spoke up. He longed for strength, but Zhang Liao felt that he couldn't bear the weight of Hua Fei's attention. When Yuan, there's no need to be like this. Since you have already been under my command, I did not treat you as an outsider. If you are willing, we will be brothers from now on. But as brothers who entrust life and death to each other, enhancing your strength is also enhancing my own strength. Hua Fei patted Zhang Liao's shoulder. General Zhang Liao, pay respects to the Lord. Zhang Liao was deeply moved and knelt down on one knee. Hua Fei's excellent martial arts skills impressed Zhang Liao immensely. More importantly, Hua Fei was able to treat himself honestly, which made Zhang Liao impulsively accept his master. When Yuan doesn't need to be like this, just accept the inheritance with peace of mind. Hua Fei was overjoyed and spoke again. Zhang Liao nodded and waited quietly with the other 299 people for inheritance. Hua Fei activated the system in his heart and began to super-evolve against Zhang Liao and 300 others, still evolving all their weapons. After the white mist, Zhang Liao felt the surge in his own strength and was even more shocked. His loyalty to Hua Fei continued to climb. The rest of us are the same. Thank you, Lord. Zhang Liao led, and all 300 people knelt down on one knee. Hua Fei nodded in satisfaction, and Zhang Liao's strength underwent a completely new transformation. Name: Zhang Liao, courtesy name Wen Yuan, force. 107 command. 98 intelligence. 83 politics. 70 charm. 87 loyalty. 90 skill. Attack camp, same as above. Handsome talent, same as above. In a battle of death, Zhang Liao faces opponents whose strength, after stacking skills, is higher than his own, and he never retreats. Every 10 rounds of battle, Zhang Liao's strength increases by 1 point, and can stack up to 5 points of strength. Zhang Liao is not good at solo combat, but after evolution, he also gained a mediocre fighting skill, which satisfied Hua Fei. As for others, their military strength generally exceeds 80, and there are even a small number of soldiers with a military strength of over 90. With the addition of 300 pairs of armor, Hua Fei's subordinates have almost 400 invincible troops. Unlike the relaxed atmosphere of Tiger Prison, the atmosphere in the alliance of feudal lords is extremely dull. The generals of the alliance died and were injured, and Yuan Shao even died, including General Yan Liang. Cao Cao's brothers Cao Hong and General Lu Jin, as well as Wen Chou and Zhang Fei, were also seriously injured. The morale of the entire coalition is unusually low at this moment. Chapter 9. Poisonous Scholar Jia Su. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If the war is unfavorable, what measures can you take? After a long silence, Yuan Shao, as the leader of the alliance, spoke up first. The feudal lords were discussing one after another, and Hua Fei made them feel powerless. Lord, is it possible for us to recruit Hua Fei? If so, Lord can accept Hua Fei as his adopted son and promise that after conquering Luoyang, he will be appointed as his posthumous general. With Lord's background, Hua Fei should not refuse, said strategist Su Yu. Upon hearing this, Yuan Shao frowned. Hua Fei was brave and valiant, and he did value him. However, Hua Fei was just the son of Hua Xiong, not even a humble family. He was born from a real grassroots, and he was unwilling to accept Hua Fei as his adopted son. Master, Hua Fei has excellent martial arts skills. As long as he is subdued, he will be the strongest sword in his hand. At that time, who in the world can defeat him? Su Yu and Yuan Shao were good friends and knew each other very well. When they saw Yuan Shao frown, Su Yu knew Yuan Shao's thoughts and quickly spoke up to persuade him. Yuan Shao thought about it and was about to speak. Cao Cao shook his head and said with a bitter smile, Ziyuan, you may have some wild ideas. Who is Hua Fei? He is the only son of Hua Xiong. Although Dong Zhuo is cruel, he is very kind to the Western Liang Army. How could Hua Fei betray Dong Zhuo? Moreover, from a certain perspective, Hua Fei is not someone who is driven by greed. It is impossible to bribe Hua Fei. Su Yu was a bit dissatisfied as he was about to speak, but Yuan Shao nodded and said, what Mengde said is not unreasonable. Besides, Hua Fei is a thief who has killed our coalition general. How can our alliance leader tolerate him? Our army has hundreds of thousands of troops here, why fear Hua Fei? No matter how strong his strength is, can he still kill hundreds of thousands of my army alone? If we pass on the order to build siege equipment, since there is no way, we will compete with Dong Zhuo to consume it. I don't believe it. With so many of us, we can't even consume one Dong Zhuo. Seeing that Yuan Shao had already spoken, Su Yu didn't say much anymore. On the other side within Hulao Pass the atmosphere was very lively, and the generals of the Western Liang Army also frequently toasted Hua Fei. Although Hua Fei was just a junior, his strength has been recognized by the generals of the Western Liang Army. Once, they were suppressed by Lu Bu and couldn't lift their heads. Now, the Xiliang faction has Huafei, and they have confidence in facing Lu Bu. Haha, General Niu, please. You are of the same generation as my father. How dare I ask you to toast? Hua Fei chuckled and gave Niu Fu face. Niu Fu is very satisfied with Huafei. He has strong strength and is not arrogant. This is the best man for him in Xiliang. Hey! While drinking happily, Huafei suddenly let out a sigh. Boy, why sigh for no reason? Niu Fu quickly asked, and the others also cast inquiring glances. Hua Fei glanced at Niu Fu and said helplessly, General Niu doesn't know. Although the last general has some strength, he is ultimately a warrior. The Prime Minister has ordered me to command 5,000 troops, and there are many daily trivial matters. The last general is really not tired of it. If he could have a few literati in his hands, it would be much easier. I don't think it's a big deal. Boy, there are quite a few literati in our army. Although they are not great talents, it's easy to take care of the trivial matters in the army for you. If you don't mind, I will send a few people over later. Niu Fu laughed heartily. This is a great opportunity to establish a good relationship with Huafei. How could Niu Fu give up? Thank you, General Niu. If possible, I would like to personally select a few people. May I know if that's possible? Hua Fei felt secretly happy and spoke again. No problem, it's all small things, Niu Fu said, patting his chest. Thank you very much, Hua Fei raised his glass. Jia Su, that old Yin Bai, is under the command of Niu Fu. This time, Hua Fei will dig Jia Su over no matter what he says. How can Hua Fei rest assured that the first old Yin Bai in the late Han Dynasty was not placed in his own hands? The atmosphere of the celebration banquet was even hotter, and Dong Zhuo was also very happy. He saw the unity of the Western Liang Army, which was the most important thing for Dong Zhuo. The most unhappy ones present are probably Liu Bu and his generals in the Bingzhou army. The exclusivity of the Western Liang Army has been a problem since the Bingzhou faction defected to Dong Zhuo. Throughout history, due to Lu Bu's strength, the generals of the Western Liang Army have not dared to show too much. However, with the rise of Huafei, will the generals of the Western Liang Army still fear Lu Bu's military might? At this point, the generals of the Bingzhou army clearly felt that the generals of the Xiliang army were not paying much attention to them. Dong Zhuo didn't pay attention to this either. In fact, he also didn't trust the generals in Bingzhou, and the Western Liang Army was his fundamental concern. The contradiction between the Bingzhou and Xiliang factions is gradually increasing after the celebration banquet. Hua Fei eagerly followed Niu Fu to his camp. More than 10 literati appeared in front of Hua Fei. Boy, take anyone you like with you. Niu Fu spoke very grandly. With the system in hand, Hua Fei easily found the inconspicuous Jia Su. Name: Jia Su, styled Wenhe, Force. 38 Command. 67 Intelligence. 98 Politics. 95 Charm. 72 Friendliness. 20 Skill. Poison Warrior. Jia Su was one of the two major poison warriors in the late Han Dynasty. When using poison timing, his intelligence increased by 3 points, and the more vicious his strategy was, the higher his success rate. Seeking oneself, Jia Su is good at self-protection. When planning for his own safety, his intelligence value increases by 10 points. Master, when Jia Su's loyalty to the Lord reaches 90 or above, he plans for the Lord and increases his intelligence by 5 points. When he mainly manages internal affairs, his political value increases by 3 points. Chapter 10. Jia Su entering the urn. You are listening at novelfull.audio. General Niu, I will not want this person. Hua Fei pointed to Jia Su without hesitation. Niu Fu was taken aback for a moment, then smiled and said, "Bo-yi, should we choose another person? Although Jia Xuanai is assisting a certain family, he is not good at handling military affairs." Hua Fei shook his head and said with a smile, "General Niu, the last general will take him. This person is honest, and there should be no incidents of using power for personal gain or withholding food and supplies." Niu Fu nodded silently and looked at Jia Su, saying, "Since Bo-yi has set his sights on you, you can serve in his army from now on. Bo-yi is a rising star in our Western Liang Army and highly valued by the Prime Minister. As long as you assist him well, your future prospects are limitless." Jia Su was a bit speechless. What does it mean to look simple and honest? However, he didn't have any nonsense. He immediately nodded and bowed to Niu Fu before bowing to Hua Fei, saying, "Jia Su, pay my respects to General." Mr. Wenhe doesn't need to be polite. In the future, he will rely more on his help, Hua Fei chuckled. Jia Su has a clear understanding of the virtues of this old Yin Bai. However, since he has entered his own army, Hua Fei believes that one day Lao Yin Bai will recognize him as the master. "I dare not." Lao Yinbi was very humble and even said, "I dare not." Hua Fei didn't have any nonsense. After thanking Niu Fu, he left with Jia Su satisfied. The next day Hua Fei then recognized Jia Su as his military advisor in front of everyone. "No one is allowed to disobey the orders of the military strategist, otherwise I will not be lenient." Hua Fei coldly warned his more than 5,000 men under his command. "I will take orders." Zhang, Liao and others responded and bowed to Jia Su. Jia Su said he was a bit confused. Didn't he come to help Hua Fei manage the trivial matters in the military? Why did he become a military strategist in a daze? "General, I am inexperienced in my studies. I am not worthy of this position as a military commander. Please choose another talented person," Jia Su responded without hesitation and declined. He is not optimistic about the Western Liang Army. If he becomes the commander of Huafei and the Western Liang Army is doomed in the future, wouldn't he have to follow suit? Even if Huafei is stronger, it may not be possible to stay in a corner for a long time after the end of the Western Liang Army. This military commander is simply a hot potato. "Master, you need to think carefully. I have a clear plan, and since I have spoken it out, I will not retract it. Unless the master no longer exists, I naturally don't need to be this master," Hua Fei sneered. "What?" Jia Su's forehead broke out in a cold sweat. What does it mean that he no longer exists and doesn't need to be a military strategist? What do you have in mind, sir? Hua Fei stared at Jia Su intently. "No, thank you very much, General. I will temporarily become a military strategist. If General finds a suitable candidate, I will abdicate and give up my position." Jia Su wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said. At this moment, he deeply regretted not agreeing to come to Huafei even if he knew it to death. Although Niu Fu is a waste, he is Dong Zhuo's son-in-law and holds a very high position in the Western Liang Army. Isn't he enjoying a peaceful life in Niu Fu's army? Very good, Wen Yuan and Huawu, you can practice the army. I will have something to discuss with the military commander. Huafei nodded with satisfaction. Immediately, he entered his own tent with Jia Su. "Let's do it." Hua Fei pointed to the closest left head and gestured for Jia Su to sit down. "General Xie," Jia Su sat down obediently with an honest demeanor. "Wenhe, I would have known your talent and why you didn't want to expose it," Hua Fei said straightforwardly. I don't know what the general's words mean," Jia Su pretended to be foolish and stunned. "Jia Wenhe, at least you are also the top strategist in this world. Why do you need to be like this? The future of the Western Liang Army is indeed not optimistic about me, but with me, even if one day the Western Liang Army is in chaos, I can still turn the tide. Hua Fei spoke confidently. Jia Su's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise, but he didn't speak. If you don't believe it, let's just take a look. Dong Zhuo can't last long, but the Western Liang Army can last long. Remember, you are the general's commander now, and if you want to escape, you will definitely die. Go. Hua Fei didn't explain much. If it weren't for Jia Su, Hua Fei wouldn't have said much. After all, if these words fall into Dong Zhuo's ears, they would be very detrimental to himself. Of course, Hua Fei also believes that Jia Su, an old Bai, will not speak recklessly. Jia Su stood up and left, but couldn't help but stop outside the camp. Interesting. He had already guessed Hua Fei's future plans, but Jia Su did not believe that Hua Fei could control the entire Western Liang Army at that time. After all, although the Western Liang Army recognized the strength of Hua Fei, Li Yan and Guo Si were not people who would easily bow their heads. Moreover, they had followed Dong Zhuo for many years and had a high reputation in the Western Liang Army, which is not comparable to the current Hua Fei.